Confessions of a Film Poser!
Welcome to Confessions of a Film Poser. I'm Eli.
And I'm Vince.
Each week, we pick a classic movie that we've been pretending that we've seen, but never actually watched.
We'll talk about why we missed it, what we expect going into it, and then after we watch it, we'll give you our first-time reactions. We're just two film posers that have lied our entire lives about these films, and we're actually going to watch them now.
This week, we're watching Paris, Texas from 1984.
A movie every serious film buff has seen, except apparently us.
Will we like it? Will we hate it? Will I hate Vince's opinion of the movie so much that it forces me to wander out into the desert for 4 years, neglecting my friends and family? There's only one way to find out. Watch the video. If Paris, France is the city of light, then Paris, Texas is the city of dirt. It's also a haunting American road drama directed by Wim Wenders and written by Sam Shepard. The film follows Travis, played by Harry Dean Stanton, a silent, wandering man who reappears after disappearing into the desert for 4 years. As Travis reconnects with his young son and searches for his missing wife, the story unfolds as a quiet meditation on memory, regret, family, and the fragile possibility of redemption. Known for its striking desert cinematography, emotional restraint, and Cooder's iconic slide guitar score, Paris, Texas won the Palme d'Or at Cannes and is widely considered one of the most powerful character studies in modern cinema. This isn't loud or flashy filmmaking, it's slow, reflective, and devastating in the best way. So, why haven't we seen it yet? Not only did I not know that there was a movie called Paris, Texas, I didn't know that there was a Paris, Texas in general. But now I know it's a movie, and this one, when I think of the Criterion Closet, I think of people that are like Paris, Texas, and it never looked like a movie that I wanted to sit down and watch. It always looked sad and just looked like a movie I could smell.
This was a movie that like all the artsy movie fans on Twitter are always talking about, and they're always like posting little videos. It's not a movie that I knew existed until a few years ago, and it's also not a place that I knew existed till a few years ago.
Wim Wenders is a name that's stuck with me. I've never really known what he's done until watching this movie, but I don't know. His name always sounded so whimsical, like a Willy Wonka figure, or like a sleep paralysis demon that's like, "Ooh, I'm protecting the Epstein files and I'm redacting names of powerful people."
This movie looks like it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. Right out of high school, I was really into photography, and I used to go to the desert all the time to take photos. I love the aesthetic of the desert. Some of the best thunderstorms you'll ever see. Some of the best evening sunsets, sunrises. I'm going into this movie just for the visuals. I know it's supposed to be like a super sad, like very human movie, which I do love as well. I'm a little bit tired tonight, so I feel like this is going to be the perfect thing to sit back and just kind of watch and probably cry a little bit.
I'm a photographer. The desert's got great sand.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have hobbies,
that you could take pictures of, and they look great. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be sad. I think it's going to make a middle-aged man reassess his life and who he is as a father. I'm joking, but I think that the cinematography is going to be beautiful. This is a German, I believe, filmmaker, and so it's interesting to get like an American Western perspective from a European. So I'm thinking it might be idealistic in some ways, might be completely wrong in other ways. But I'm hoping to sob like a baby, and I can't wait to watch this one, man. We're about to pass it over to future Vince and Eli to tell us their thoughts on Paris, Texas. But before we go there, if you haven't already, hit subscribe. Come back. Let us know in the comments what movies you've always told people you've watched but never actually seen, and we'll add it to the list. Vince, can you pass it off to future Vince and Eli?
I sure can. Here you go. We're back.
We're back. We watched Paris, Texas, dude.
It's been 4 days, man. That movie's long.
Dude, in the interim, from the time we recorded the first part to now, I realized that we made an error, that we were calling him Wim Wenders, and actually his name is pronounced Wim Wenders, dude. He's German. And that's how the Germans pronounce their W's, apparently.
I didn't know Germans pronounce W's. So was it
Willy Wonka.
Will Witten?
I'm sorry to all those that are offended. We are two American boys from California. We're going to call him Wim. So if that offends you, I'm sorry. Germany should try a little bit harder in World War II. It's not our fault.
Actually, no. I'm glad you didn't try any harder than you did, because we probably wouldn't be making this podcast if you did.
Yeah, dude. And we're posers. So, of course, we don't know how to pronounce the director's name. But I will say very impressed with this director just right off the bat.
You ready to get into it?
We'll get into it. Before, let's do the film poser film summary. Do you want to take it this week, or do you want
I
me
will
to do
take it. I'm going to make this one nice and short because,
Yes.
much like the beginning of this movie, there's not a lot of dialogue, so we can kind of breeze through it. Are you ready?
Let's do it. Hit it, bro. Ham.
The story behind Paris, Texas is about a man that's been wandering for 4 years. He reconnects with his brother and taken back home where he's reunited with his son that he hasn't seen in 4 years. It turns out not only did he disappear, but his wife did as well, and the son was left with his brother and his brother's wife. Once he reconnects with his son, he develops a plan that he's going to go find his ex-wife and his son's mother. They go to Houston, Texas, and find out that she is currently working at a peep show, and he goes to meet her. It doesn't necessarily go well the first time, but he decides after a night of drinking and talking to his son that he's going to come back and devise a plan to reunite her and his son together. There's a part where he leaves a message for his son, knowing that this is going to be the last time that he's going to be able to communicate with his child, and he leaves a voice message kind of explaining that although he loves his son, he doesn't think that he's going to be the father that his son deserves, but he does believe that his son deserves a good life with his mother. He goes back to reunite with his wife, and there's about a 15 or 18-minute dialogue scene in this movie, which this movie doesn't have a lot of dialogue, so that's huge. But it breaks down the past of these two people, what happened to kind of break up their relationship, and what kind of led to him walking in the desert for 4 years. This is a beautiful film that not only is striking visually, but rips at your heart chords. Heart chords is this phrase, right?
It is now, and
It is now.
I think it aptly describes this movie. Yeah, dude. Great summary.
Thanks.
Touched on all the fine points of what this movie's about, and I think neither of us knew what this movie was about going into it, and that always makes for such an interesting viewing. Obviously, this movie came out in 1984. We're a little late to the party as usual. But man, I'm so glad that we watched this movie. I'm so glad that I watched this movie at this point in my life. It was an absolute treasure of a movie. All the things, kind of like Citizen Kane, we came off of that and we were like, everything we've ever heard about this movie, all the glowing praise and top of the list that it makes, we saw that. And this movie, I understand why all the celebrities that go into the Criterion Closet are like Paris, Texas, because there's just so much to this movie that was both unexpected and satisfying, and then in the end, not satisfying.
This was a cruel movie, dude. There's so many parts of this movie that I'm watching it, and I'm like, I can't believe that this guy is doing this. I can't believe that he takes his child away from the people that have been watching him and kind of adopted him. And without saying a word, he starts to take him to Houston, Texas. And then whenever he realizes that he may have made a mistake, instead of calling to tell them what's happening, he has his 7-year-old son call them because he's too scared to do it himself.
Yeah, I mean, it really is the 4 years that this guy kind of put himself on an island, so to speak. And we find out later he went down to Mexico and he just disappeared and he just left his life, everything that entails behind, his relationships with his brothers and his sister-in-law, his son, his wife. And you don't know why. That's the great mystery of this movie. And that's what makes this movie so compelling. And you turn it on. I remember, because this movie's a little bit longer, I turned it on going, I'll take that an hour of it. And I ended up just sitting there watching the whole thing because it's so compelling. And the story is so rich with emotion, but also the characters. And, as they slowly unravel this guy's life, Travis's life, and what the 4 years of him being gone did to the people that loved him. And through that love kind of opens him back up. His brother is a huge factor in that. Walt. He lives out in LA and he's like a he's like a painter and he creates billboards. There's a great moment. There's a great line there where he tells his brother what he does. And he goes, "Oh, I've seen those billboards. Some of them are beautiful." And he's like, "Well, yeah, I'm not the only one that does it, but yeah, thanks."
He really does make it seem like, "Oh, I've seen your work. It's fantastic."
Yeah. And he's trying to connect with him because for the first, 30, 45 minutes of the movie, you don't hear Travis talk. The first time you hear him talk is when he opens up that he bought a plot of land in Paris, Texas. And then it goes in. Then you find out that his parents basically conceived him in Paris, Texas. And then you find out about his dad and his mom. And he the way I took it was, Travis is kind of more like his dad, where he goes a little crazy because he lets these ideas, and he's so in love with his wife, he lets these ideas he believes them, and then he believes, oh, she doesn't love me because she's not showing me, she's not showing that, he would say, I would go to work and I would miss you so much, and then I'd come home and then I would stay out later and go drinking just so that I would come home and you would be worried about me. And so, the part of his loving relationship gets kind of substituted with this weird kind of codependency and need for her to reestablish that she loves him through actions, which just turns into toxicity. Yeah. So, I mean, you don't hear him talk until he pulls out this picture of Paris. And like you said in the summary, Walt thinks he's talking about Paris, France, and he's talking about Paris, Texas. And that's kind of the whole encapsulation of the name of the movie and how that relates to the story. This movie is so rich. This movie blew my mind. Out of all the movies we watched, I think this is my favorite movie. This might be in my top 10, might be recency bias. I'm gonna have to sit with it a bit, but there's just I instantly wanted to go back and watch this movie. And I started watching all the special features, and I was just so intrigued at how they made this movie, but it's so rich in Americana. It's a time capsule to maybe a time that never existed, but on film it does. And so you have all these old hotels, old motels, old saloons. Then they go to LA at one point because that's where Walt lives with his wife. And then you see LA in the 80s. And, there's just this great story that pops up between him reclaiming his old life and trying to fix it.
One of the craziest things about this movie is it seems so simplistic in the storytelling. Like, even in dialogue in the first hour of the movie, there's not much talking. But this movie plays with nostalgia for the past, but then also there's glimpses of, like, you being taken away with the nostalgia and then coming right back to reality of where you are. And you can see it in the main character, Travis. There's a part where they're watching like family videos, and there's a video of them at the beach all together, him and his brother and his wife and his son. And he falls into the fact that like they had the perfect thing. And then you see he kind of realizes like where he currently is now and how that's all gone. And he looks over and he sees his son, but then in that, him and his son, like that's the first time they connect in the movie. And then after that, you can see their relationship grow. I did a little bit of research after this too, because I did have some questions. This movie, again, I said it seems very basic in storytelling, but whenever it comes to the visuals, it comes to the landscapes, it comes to the like set design and color. It seems like the director plays so much with the color of certain scenes. There's always hints of red, white, and blue around the character. And then every time that there's a green light, it's the main character, Travis, like coming back to reality, coming back to where he is and what he needs to do. And I don't know if you noticed that, but if I kind of want to go back and watch this movie again and pick that up, because I saw it on YouTube and it just blew my mind, because there are so many scenes where he's like literally opening doors and you can see that this is something big for him. He's taking a step into fixing his past. And every time it happens, there's like a glint of green light that is just supposed to signify like the present and moving forward. And this is a beautiful movie, man. The landscapes aside, just the story of this guy reconnecting with his family and trying to fix everything after everything blew up and he literally was caught on fire and just started running into the night. Kind of a spoiler for the end monologue, but it's so good, man.
It is a beautiful movie, and there's so many shots. Like, this is essentially a road trip movie. A large part of this is them going from Texas to LA and then him driving back to Houston to get his wife or to confront his wife with his son. And so they're driving from LA to Houston. A little bit less of a road trip on that end, but there's some great moments, and there's so many scenes where the outside world, the cities that they're in, the landscapes of America are as much of involved in these scenes as the characters are. There's shots where they put the camera where you see the passenger seat on one side of the frame, and then just the outside world going out.
Dude,
going
split diopter again for the win.
Split diopter. Shout out to. What was that? That was Andromeda Strain was where you first called that out.
Yeah, and then yeah.
So beautiful. I'd noticed the color, the green light, the where it's prominent for me is that final scene, which makes a lot of sense. But also the red light as he's going up the stairs, going into the peep show to see his wife, or to go into the lounge, I guess, was kind of a warning sign to me, which I think it's kind of, it's almost like it's saying, stop, don't go. I want to touch on something you said, because this struck me more than anything about this movie. this movie makes you feel nostalgic for a time that you never even experienced. Like for me, I was born in the late 80s. You know, if you've ever gone to a road trip cross country in America, you don't even have to go cross country. You know, it reminded me, I was telling Vince, it reminded me of this trip we took after my grandma died when I was young. My whole family's from Oklahoma, so we drove from California, Orange County to Oklahoma. And a lot of, you would see stuff that was in this movie. And so it played upon a nostalgia that you have for a time that you didn't even experience. And I love that. That's one of my favorite things about a good film, is it transports you to a time and a place. This movie did that so well. And it is a beautiful movie, dude. It's one that you just have to kind of sit back and go, whoa. And it just has so much for you. You know, Sam Shepard, the writer of this movie, I watched something after with Wim Wenders, whatever you want to pronounce it. And he said that they met and they were like so cohesive with one another that they decided they would only write half the script and start shooting the movie, with the idea being Sam Shepard going along these shoots and kind of writing the second part of the movie, watching the actors, how they interact as the movie went on, and would write the second half. And then something happened. They had to push the movie. They had to push the scheduling off. Something happened. And Sam Shepard went and got involved in another project where he was writing and acting in, and he couldn't finish the second part. So Wim Wenders had to finish the second part of the movie with actually the kid who plays Hunter in the movie's dad, L.C. Carson, wrote it with him. But that even blew my mind, because basically, like, movies like that should be so disjointed, but it's so cohesive. And Sam Shepard, the only thing that he did on the second half of the script, they said that he wrote up into the part where he reconnects with his kid. Everything after that, Wim Wenders wrote. And so the only other thing after that he wrote is that final monologue between Travis and Jane, where you finally understand what happened. Basically, he turned into a drunk alcoholic, was abusive, would chain her to the stove, and then she had a baby. She resented the baby and him. And so he took off, just couldn't handle it, and disassociated from all of it. But yeah, so much here to unpack, dude. I loved this movie for every reason that I've ever loved a movie. And, you know, the more we watch movies that are this good and this, you know, artistic, truly artistic, like every frame a painting, it makes other movies that you've watched that you thought were good, you go, I don't know.
But yet again, this is a movie that I'm sure someone has told me about in the past, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's artsy, who cares? It's so good, dude. It's so good.
So tell me, I want to hear what your favorite performance of the movie was.
Yeah, it's hard. Obviously, the main character, Travis, is the main character of this movie. And this guy, Harry Dean Stanton, I've seen him in other movies. I've never seen him play a character like this. My favorite performance in this movie had to be the little boy. I don't think I've ever experienced a child actor play a character so real. He felt like an actual little boy. There's scenes where he's playing with his toys, and it feels like a kid playing with his toys, not acting like he's playing with the toys. The way that he communicates with his dad towards the end, once they finally like became close, it was so believable and so good. And I feel like I've never seen a kid actor do that before.
Yeah, and Travis in the beginning is catatonic. So he's almost like a little kid coming back into the world. There's a scene where when he first goes to Walt's house, he's in the backyard just looking at the planes landing by. Number one, that house was sick, dude. I know that they had to live by an airport, but damn, that house was so dope. And I was sitting there going, that's a $3 million house now. He's sitting there watching like a kid the airplanes that he's afraid he won't go on. There's another scene where he exits an airplane as it's on the tarmac. It's another thing of a modern conceit where I'm like, that would never happen. Dude, ever to this day.
I thought the same thing. Like it wasn't even like the cops came to take him off the airplane.
No, the feds, the air marshal, the air marshal would take him down, and everybody on the plane would revolt and attack the guy. But he's sitting there in this backyard, and he's watching the planes, and he's lining up all of their shoes on the fence. And it was so weird, and I still don't really know what it means, but I think it pertains to him coming back into the world and being around other human beings, which is a really crazy element and crazy detail that they kind of laid in there that I thought was so great.
I felt like that scene indicated like he didn't necessarily want to come back. His brother kind of forced him. He did end up going with him, but I felt like that scene showed that he was trying to take control of something. And if that meant that he was going to line up the shoes that he wanted in certain spots, and I think he cleaned the shoes, he cleaned the house for them. Like he was coming back into his humanity. And I think that specifically was like some sort of like, I can control this and I'm going to do this, is how I took it. What was your performance of the movie?
Man, I was really hoping you would say Harry Dean Stanton, because I truly have two. Harry Dean Stanton was incredible. The interview I watched with Wim Wenders was talking about he had played bit parts. This was the first movie he did where he was the lead. And so that just came out of him, man. And not only that, but they didn't even have the script done. And he just held it down so well. Like we mentioned before, we've seen him in a few other things, bit roles, supporting roles. I definitely want to give him his propers, but I love the character of Walt. Much like Jeb and Citizen Kane, like I'm attracted to those characters that are kind of the moral compass, or the, they're really the catalyst for the story. And Walt was just so loving and so patient, and there's one scene where he loses his patience with him. He starts yelling at him. And then at the end of the scene, they pan over to one of his billboards, and Harry Dean Stanton goes, I'm going to need, because he's about to go on and embark on this journey with his son to go confront his wife, or going to go find his wife. And he goes, I'm going to need money. I'm going to need credit cards. And Walt's like, yeah, of course, take them, whatever you need, which is such a, like, one that tells me Walt's got some change. He's got some cash.
I thought the same thing.
But it just was such a, like, selfless thing. Like, yeah, you figure out, after putting them through all this stuff, him and his wife have been raising these kids for 4 years, and that's really the tragedy of this movie, is that became their son, and they had to give him back. And Walt particularly did it so selflessly. And that kid would have grown up and become a good human, because he would have had two parents that loved him, but he knew that the greater good was him having a relationship with his dad. So shout out to Dean Stockwell, who played Walt Henderson. I just thought his performance was so good. And Wim Wenders actually said in the interview I watched that he was done acting. Like, when he found him and cast him in this, another kind of supportive character, but that he had actually got his real estate license. He was going to quit acting. And then he comes out and he just gives a performance like this. I just thought it was so good. But yeah, I would say Dean Stockwell as Walt Henderson was my performance of the movie.
Dude, it hurt me that he was such a good brother to this guy. And it's not necessarily that Harry was taking advantage of that by any means. You could tell that this guy was broken, and he appreciated everything that his brother was doing, even if he didn't really say it. But the fact that his brother did all of this, and then he turns around and just takes his son and leaves without saying a word. Like, I was a little bit pissed, which I feel like the emotion that came out of me because of that shows that this is an effective movie.
Let's talk about the scene or sequence that you loved, that stuck with you. When you think about this movie, Paris, Texas, you will think about the scene. What was it for you?
The scene that stole my heart in this movie was the very end scene, where you have Travis standing in the most gorgeous landscaped parking lot I've ever seen. Sun is going down, and he's looking into the window as he watches his wife, played by Nastassja Kinski, Jane Henderson, meeting her son for the first time in 4 years, and them reconnecting. Not only was it gorgeous, the way that they set up the scene of him out there, but the scene of her meeting her son for the first time, and kind of just instantly embracing each other. And it felt so real. Both actors were so good. Again, Hunter Carson, the son, played this so well. And I couldn't have, for not being like the feel good ending to a movie, I can't imagine this movie ending any other way. It was gorgeous. And then at the very end, our boy Travis just drives off. He goes to chase the highway again, dude. But this time he's finished that part of his life. I hope that he comes back at some point and reconnects with his wife and son. But the movie doesn't set that up at all. He just drives off into the night. And I wanted to stand up and start clapping. It was 11:30 at night. I watched this movie by myself. So it would have been weird, but I love this movie. I love it.
Yeah, I think he was going to get a job to pay off those credit card bills or pay his brother back for all the money that he took, because he racked those credit card bills up.
That was a nice hotel room.
It was a very nice hotel room. The what was it called? The Meridian. The striking scene at the end, great ending to a movie, but I think the end was the biggest problem that I had. And really, going back to what you were saying about the injustice of his brother and his brother's wife losing a son, essentially, I hated that he reunited him with his mother, but that he didn't stick around to be a father and clean up, That's not what this movie was. But that was unsatisfying to me until I sat with it a little bit longer, and that's what this movie is. His story ends like it's a redemption arc. That was his redemption. That was his thing to accomplish, and he did it. And he drove off, and that's the end of his story. Their story continues on. I don't know, in movies like that where they take you on such an emotional roller coaster, I like the payoff of a somewhat happy ending, and this was somewhat of a happy ending. So that's kind of where I came to of like, nah, this was probably the ending that needed to happen, especially what, the themes throughout and what they set up.
When he first met his wife again for the first time, and he fell back into that routine of kind of being aggressive and over possessive of her, I felt like in the character himself as Travis, he realized that he's still the same person that caused all of this. It doesn't really touch much on their childhood. It kind of does, but I felt like he saw the worst aspects of his dad, and he didn't want to do the same thing for his son. So I felt like the ending of this was that he saw that he was still the same person, but the most he could do was to fix that and not be the problem to tear it apart again. So I felt like him leaving was like, okay, I set this up. They deserve each other. I'm not ready for this. So I'm going to go off and hopefully later come back. In my mind, I hope that he does. But I felt like that was part of it, was that he was breaking the chain of the abusive nature that he inherited from his father. And instead of allowing that to destroy other people's lives, he did the best he could to do one good deed and then peace out. And I thought
see,
that was
to
beautiful.
me, the problem is once the kid comes into the movie, the perspective of the movie shifts from Travis to the kid. So for me, it's like he plucked Travis out of the stable environment,
Out of the perfect home
with two loving 80s parents, and he left the kid with a woman that's currently working in a peep show. And so I just feel like that to me was unsatisfying because, now the kid has to grow up with a mom who we don't know where her head's at. And, he's going to grow up like a single parent when he could be the one to, I don't know. This isn't that movie, right? And it's not real life. So that's what you have. Like, let's start there. But
Can we be real for a second?
It just left an unsatisfying a finish in his character arc and his redemption arc to me.
Yeah. What really happened in this movie was that he came back, stole his son from his brother that's been taking care of the son for 4 years.
Stole credit cards. Dressed in his brother's clothes.
Went and found his whore mother, reconnected them, and then left, which in essence is going to bring the kid and the mom back to his brother's house where they're going to have to take care of his entire family while he goes back to Tijuana and just dude.
Just plows through hookers and like made by a German guy. That's who he thinks we are, dude. In the end, it had the ending that it set up. So it was cool. But that image is striking of him at top of the parking garage watching the windows, and they set it up later with the binoculars when he's looking into the hotel. So he's, there's a lot of that stuff kind of late in this movie. But my favorite scene, I just am a fan of diner scenes. This is what I've realized about myself. But that scene where they're in the diner, Walt is trying to get him to eat. He won't talk, he won't eat, but he brings up his son Hunter, and instantly in the performance of Harry Dean Stanton, which is why I wanted to shout it out so much, but he just tears up and just starts crying. Doesn't say anything, just starts crying, and that tells you everything you need to know about how he feels about his son, about the life he gave up. You don't even know why he's ran away, right? He's a deadbeat father for sure, but you don't know why, but that emotion just says everything that we need to know about his feeling towards his son. And I just thought that was incredibly, I thought that was magnificent. Again, I guarantee you he didn't pay for the check. So there's that. Walt, there again, footing the bill. Honorable mention is also the scene where he's trying to walk with his son home, and they're on either sides of the street, paralleling each other until finally he crosses over. And that's the other thing is like, he crosses the street over into his son's side of the road. And I just thought that like signified so much that was going to pay off in the end. And it does, but I just want him to stick around, like stop being an asshole. Just figure it out. Raise your kid and figure out your issues with your wife. Figure out your own issues. Go to counseling. It's like not what this movie is.
Your brother will pay for it. We know it.
Yeah, your brother has good insurance. We know it. What was your favorite line of dialogue from this movie? I've got one that sticks out.
Oh, you go first because I need to find mine.
All right, my favorite line of
desert.
dialogue is when Walt first finds Travis when he's in the desert and he's like worse for wear, looks terrible. And he just goes, "What the hell happened to you anyway? You look like 40 miles of rough road." And I love that line so much. That, like, Sam Shepard is a poet, right? This is the first movie he ever wrote. Before that, he wrote plays and stuff, and he's a poet. And that's such a poetic line to me. It says so much without saying too much. And I just thought that's my favorite line of the movie.
I have another poetic line for you from this movie that I absolutely loved. Travis is talking to the housekeeper, and she's kind of getting to know him and realizes that he asks her, like, what does a father look like? And then they go through the dialogue of, like, she's like, do you want to be a rich dad or a poor dad? Because there's nothing in between. But my favorite line was, she says, okay, one thing to remember. To be a rich father, Senor Travis, you must look to the sky and never look to the ground. And I thought that was so good, dude.
Dang.
I don't know what it says, but that was like, this movie is not a funny movie. There's not like funny dialogue. There's not like playful nature back and forth besides that scene with him. And I think I texted you, and I don't know if I'm the only person that found that interaction like fun in this movie, but I thought it was great. And that line, I like went to write it down on my phone, but I'm recording with my phone, so I had to find it on IMDb. But it was so good.
I think it was an old Mexican proverb that the cleaning lady was.
I think so, dude. Also, I love the line that there's like, you're either a poor father or a rich father. There's no in between. Right. I thought that was funny.
Final verdict. Obviously, we love this movie. Probably know what the answer is going to be, but would you stream this movie? Would you buy this movie, or would you watch it on TV?
I have, and I suggest that you buy this movie. I realize that we like every week talk about like grandstand, like, oh, I got the 4K digital, blah, blah, blah. Buy this movie in 4K. If you love beautiful things, buy this movie. The cover, gorgeous. The entire movie, the set design, what would it be, like set coloring? I was trying to figure out what that would be considered.
I mean, it's everything.
The lighting.
It's the composition, it's the cinematography, it's the lighting, it's the angles, the shots, it's the editing, it's the transitions from scenes, it's the camera movement.
It's the soundtrack.
It's the blocking.
I paid attention to the soundtrack finally, dude.
Dude, thank you for bringing that up.
Shit. Yes.
What's the guy's name? Cooder, with an all-timer soundtrack. Also has a name that sounds like a venereal disease.
Dude, I'm a Cooder boy.
Dude, I'm a total Cooder boy. Cooder, which also sounds like it could be like, at a Jewish deli, like a sandwich or something. I'll take one Cooder, please. Great soundtrack. I threw it on the other day. Like, I didn't see on Spotify that there's like a soundtrack, but somebody put them together on YouTube, so I was listening to it. But everything together, the music, exactly what you said, everything together just creates this magic, dude. And it takes you and it transports you to this time and place. I agree. I would buy it. I would buy it on the Criterion Collection 4K. It's not said to be grandstandy. We're just movie fans, and we like collecting movies, and
honestly, I'm excited. I'm excited for digital media. I'm excited for 4Ks. Like, this is the one thing that I buy myself like once a week, maybe twice a week. I'm excited to start collecting movies again. This show is a great excuse to do it. At some point, maybe this can be a tax write-off, but for now, it's a passion project, and my collection is slowly growing. I'm trying to catch up to you. You are far ahead of me, but buy this movie. Buy it. Well,
piggybacking on that, hit subscribe and like so that we can make this a tax write-off sooner, and we'll collect more movies and brag about them, I guess. But if that's all I have for this movie, dude. I think we said everything we loved about this movie. You have anything else to add about Paris, Texas from 1984, Vince?
I don't, man. I'm probably going to watch this again within the next week or so. I thought of a new segment as well. What are you watching this week outside of the show? Give me one thing.
I've been watching Landman.
Oh, okay.
Just
what
really
season
good.
are you?
I'm midway through season 1. Me and Sarah have been watching that. Like, I'm gonna go and watch that tonight. That one's really good. I think I'm gonna watch Marty Supreme this week.
I started watching the new Burbs TV show. I don't think it's good, but I love the original movie so much that I'm giving it a chance.
I've never seen the original movie.
Dude, okay, so we're adding that to the list because the Burbs is so good. Tom Hanks, young Tom Hanks.
Thank you so much if you've been watching this long. We appreciate you tuning in. Hit subscribe, hit like if you haven't already. Come back next week. We'll be watching another movie. Put in the comments if there's a movie that you think that we haven't seen or that you want to suggest. We'll chop it up in the comments, let you know if we watched it or not, or if we're adding it to our list that is growing each week. So it'll take us a while to get around to all these, but we appreciate you tuning in. and we hope you come back. Thanks, Vince. Have a good week.
Later,
See you in Paris, Texas.
Confessions of a Film Poser.